Brutal, shocking, and impossible to forget. The new season of X-Men 97 is just as amazing as the trailer promised. It's already one of the top Marvel shows on Disney Plus, and after watching it, I can see why. If you have not watched it yet, go and do it. Do not ignore these animated series. It expands the world of the mutant in a way we had never seen before. Season 2 continues the story from Season 1. So, if you forget how the first season ended, it's a good idea to watch it again. It's not required, but it will help you to understand the small details. If you want to catch every reference, then watching Season 1 again, it's worth it. There are many connections between both seasons, and they make the experience even better. Let me know in the comments what you think about this season. The first episode focused on Apocalypse and his story. We also learn more about Cable, his relationship with Jean Grey and Cyclops, and how he learned to control his power with help of his parents. It's a very interesting beginning. We see Cable grow stronger, and we also see how the future ruled by Apocalypse start to take shape. Back in the present, the new mutants are being recruited while X-Factor becomes more important. This leads to conflict between X-Factor versus X-Force, giving us, some great action scenes. We also see Jubilee trying to survive without the X-Men and finding her own place in the story. The season also explored the origin of Savanur, better known as Apocalypse. We learn about his childhood, how he was raised as an outcast in an ancient Egypt, and how those experiences shaped the person he became. One of the biggest surprises is that the pharaoh is actually Ramatus, one of the Khan identity. And it's another fun connection between the X-Men and the larger Marvel universe. Make you want to see more animated Marvel shows in the same style. Imagine Captain America, Fantastic Four, or Spider-Man animated series of 90s sharing this animated universe. It would be incredible. Spoiler alert. One of the biggest emotional moments is Magneto's sacrifice. By this point, Magneto is no longer a villain. He truly believes in Professor Xavier's dreams and wants peace between humans and mutants. After everything that happened in Genosha, he is trying to protect that dream. The season also presents Savanur almost like a god of destruction. We learn that the Celestial showed him and gave him access to powerful technology that made him even stronger. According to this, Apocalypse's ancient ship is connected to the Celestial, explaining why only he can control it. The show never explains every detail, but and one thing is clear. Apocalypse believes he was chosen by the Celestials or a celestial force to reshape the world, and he uses their technology to build his own Age of Apocalypse. Then comes one of the most heartbreaking scenes, Magneto's sacrifice. He sacrificed himself to protect everyone. Apocalypse destroyed him with a powerful energy blast, leaving him behind only Magneto's helmet. When the X-Men finally return to their own time, it's already too late. The way this scene is directed is incredible. Even though I'm giving you, this short version, the full episode is much more emotional. It is one of those moments that leaves you speechless. If this is only the beginning of the season, I honestly cannot imagine how the finale will end. So guys, this is easily one of the Marvel best shows on Disney Plus right now, and deserves all the attention it is getting. So what do you think? Do you believe X-Men 97 deserves all the praise? Many people skip it because it is animated, but I think that would be a huge mistake. Give it a chance. The first season already proved how great this series can be, and this new season takes it even further. And if you have already watched it, tell me what you thought about Magneto's sacrifice. Do you think it was necessary? Could things have ended differently? Or was it, the right decision? Let me your thought in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and click one of the videos on the screen. But one thing is sure, Atlas is coming to fight with the whole X-Men crew in a brutal and emotional fight with Xavier feeling to the death of Magneto, his best friend. See you in another video, guys. Bye bye.